What if I told you that your insurance company could pay you thousands of dollars to leave your own home, not because of a fire, flood, or storm, but because staying there could literally kill you? This is exactly what happened to me, and by the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes the safest place isn't always your home. My name is Smith, and I'm a 34-year-old teacher from Manchester, England. 3 years ago, I thought I had found my dream home. It was a beautiful Victorian house with high ceilings, original wooden floors, and a garden that looked like something from a fairy tale. The price was surprisingly low for the area, which should have been my first warning sign. But like most people, I was blinded by the charm and the excitement of becoming a homeowner. The first few months were perfect. I spent my weekends painting walls, planting flowers, and turning this old house into my sanctuary. My friends would visit and compliment me on finding such a gem. Everything seemed too good to be true, and unfortunately it was. It started with small things that I brushed off as normal old house problems. I would wake up with headaches almost every morning. At first, I blamed it on stress from my new job at the local primary school. Then I began feeling tired all the time, even after getting 8 hours of sleep. My friends noticed I seemed different, more irritable and confused than usual. Here's where the story takes a shocking turn that changed everything. One evening in November, I was grading papers in my living room when I started feeling dizzy. The room began to spin, and I felt like I couldn't breathe properly. I managed to stumble outside into my garden, and almost immediately the symptoms began to fade. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong with my house. The next morning, I called a local home inspection company. The inspector, an older gentleman named Tom, arrived with equipment I had never seen before. He spent 3 hours going through every room, testing the air, checking vents, and examining areas I never even thought about. When he finished, his face was pale, and he asked me to sit down for what he had to tell me. Tom explained that my house had dangerous levels of carbon monoxide throughout the entire building. For those who don't know, carbon monoxide is an invisible, odorless gas that can kill you slowly without you even knowing it's there. The old heating system in my basement had been leaking this deadly gas for who knows how long. Every night I slept in that house, I was literally being poisoned. But here's the part that will shock you even more. Tom told me that the previous owner had died in the house, under mysterious circumstances. The police had ruled its natural causes, but now we knew the real killer was the house itself. I had been living in a death trap for 6 months, and I was lucky to be alive. I immediately called my insurance company, expecting them to tell me to fix the heating system and move on with my life. But what happened next was completely unexpected. The insurance adjuster, a woman named Claire, came to inspect the house the very next day. She brought her own testing equipment and confirmed Tom's findings. The carbon monoxide levels were so high that she declared the house uninhabitable. Here comes the most surprising part of this entire story. Instead of just paying for repairs, my insurance company made me an offer I never saw coming. They offered to pay me the full value of my house, plus all my moving expenses if I agreed to never live there again. They called it a total loss settlement. Even though the house looked perfectly fine from the outside, Claire explained that the carbon monoxide problem was so severe and the source so difficult to identify completely that fixing it would cost more than the house was worth. The Victorian heating system would need to be completely replaced, along with all the ductwork, ventilation systems, and possibly even some of the walls. The insurance company calculated that it would be cheaper to pay me to leave than to make the house safe again. At first, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Insurance companies are not known for being generous, and here they were offering to pay me to walk away from my home. But Claire made it clear that this was not charity. It was pure business math. The potential lawsuits if someone died in that house would cost them millions more than my settlement. The paperwork took 3 weeks to process. During that time, I stayed with my sister Emma in London. I couldn't go back to the house, not even to collect my belongings. The insurance company hired a professional team to pack everything and move it to storage. They even paid for my hotel rooms and meals during the transition period. But the story doesn't end there. The most shocking revelation came when I researched the history of my house. I discovered that in the past 15 years, 3 different families had lived there, and all of them had reported mysterious health problems. One family's teenage daughter had been hospitalized multiple times for breathing problems that doctors couldn't explain. Another family had complained to the local council about feeling sick whenever they were home. The pattern was clear, but nobody had connected the dots until my case. The house had been slowly poisoning every family that lived there, and the real estate agents and previous owners either didn't know or didn't care enough to investigate properly. Here's what makes this story even more relevant for viewers in the United States. In America, similar situations happen more often than people realize, but the insurance response can be very different. In many U.S. states, insurance companies are required to pay for temporary housing, while repairs are made, but total loss settlements for carbon monoxide issues are much rarer. American homeowners often have to fight harder and longer to get similar compensation. My insurance company paid me exactly what I had paid for the house, plus an additional £15,000 for moving expenses, temporary housing, and what they called pain and suffering compensation. In total, I received nearly £200,000 to walk away from a house that was trying to kill me. The house still sits empty today. My insurance company owns it now, and they've decided it's too expensive to repair. They're planning to demolish it and sell the land. Sometimes I drive past it and think about how close I came to becoming another mysterious death that nobody could explain. This experience taught me several important lessons that I want to share with everyone watching this video. First, if you're buying a house and the price seems too good to be true, there's probably a reason. Always invest in a thorough inspection, not just the basic one that mortgage companies require. Spend the extra money for air quality testing, especially in older homes. Second, trust your body when something feels wrong. Those morning headaches weren't just stress. The constant fatigue wasn't normal. Our bodies often know when we're in danger before our minds figure it out. If you consistently feel worse at home than anywhere else, investigate immediately. Third, understand your insurance policy before you need it. I had no idea that total loss settlements were possible for situations like mine. Many people don't realize that insurance can cover much more than just fire and flood damage. Read your policy carefully, and don't be afraid to ask questions about coverage you don't understand. The most important lesson is that your health is worth more than any house. I loved that Victorian house, but it was slowly killing me. No amount of charm or character is worth your life. When experts tell you a place is unsafe, listen to them, even if it means giving up something you thought you wanted. Today, I live in a modern apartment in Birmingham, with proper ventilation and new heating systems. It doesn't have the character of my old house, but I wake up every morning feeling healthy and energetic. The insurance settlement allowed me to put a large deposit on this place and still have money left over for emergency savings. Looking back, I realize how incredibly lucky I was. Lucky that I noticed the symptoms before it was too late. Lucky that I called for an inspection, instead of just taking pain medication for my headaches. Lucky that I had an insurance company that chose to do the right thing instead of fighting me on every claim. But most of all, I was lucky to learn that sometimes the best thing that can happen to you is losing something you thought you wanted. That house would have killed me eventually, and my insurance company literally paid me to save my own life. If you're watching this video and you've been experiencing unexplained health problems at home, please don't ignore them. Get your air quality tested immediately. It could save your life, just like it saved mine. And remember, no dream house is worth becoming a nightmare that you never wake up from. The next time someone asks me why insurance paid me to move out of my house, I tell them the truth. They didn't pay me to move out. They paid me to stay alive.